Alright guys, so we are back with another chapter of Dark Gathering. And this chapter was fire. Absolute fire. So this is chapter 43. So we remember the last chapter, chapter 42. And if you guys don't remember, as I stated, and also you guys say, because this is a monthly series, I am definitely close to the whatever chapter is currently up right now, which is like 61. Okay, so I have like 18 more chapters to go. So I'm going to take my sweet time with this series, because monthly chapters, as much as I don't mind them, they can be a pain and a hassle, because that's a lot of information I have to try to remember and retain. Of course, I can always go back to reread after a month, but regardless of that, we have where in chapter 42 we were dealing with the grandma ghost, okay, because now they reached the park where they were trying to find another source of, they were there and they realized there was that big old circle in the sky, okay, like a tunnel, and that's where the Shikigami was coming out. And this grandma ghost is so strong that not even graduates can handle this particular ghost. This ghost is able to absorb you, eat you and absorb you, and put you into these creepy looking baby dolls, and then burn you, okay, in the what do you call it, in like a little temple smoker, right? So she does that, and unfortunately Eiko was caught up in her, basically her curse. So whoever first sees the baby, they see the carriage and then they see the baby doll in there, their soul gets trapped up in there. Okay, and then once she takes the baby doll and then extinguishes it with fire, then the actual physical body of that individual will die. So right now it's up to Keitaro and Yayoi to try to save Eiko. So now we get into chapter 43, where they realize, okay, they tried to use, what was that? It was S-Tunnel. When in the anime, the same ghost that tried to attack them when they were going through that tunnel, and she took care of that ghost. Okay, they thought they could handle, so she can go after Shikigami, other ghosts, even graduates, and using a graduate will be a risk. So we have where Yayoi made up this plan, right? Where first she wrapped up the grandma in black rope to tie her down to keep her where she's at, right? While she and Keitaro escape for a short duration of time to try to go over their plan in order to rescue Eiko and also exorcise this grandma ghost, right? So once they do that, they had a little distance and they're talking. So Yayoi is explaining to Keitaro that, like, no matter what we use against her, it's not going to work, because the minute there is eye contact, it's a wrap. So what we have to do is, this is the plan. We're going to have to try to attack this grandma with her eyes closed. Okay? And Keitaro's thinking, okay, so how the heck am I going to get close to this lady? My eyes are closed. Remember, Keitaro at the end of the day has an affinity to sense spiritual beings around him. So even if he does close his eyes, his physical eyes, he's still able to sense them. So the plan that Yayoi is proposing to Keitaro is, and it's a high risk. It's not a low, it's a high risk plan, okay? Because again, even the strongest ghosts or curses cannot take out this grandma. They're basically useless against her the minute they just lock eyes. So you have to go into this thing, well, physically blind, but spiritually your eyes are open, your third eye is open, all of that stuff. So you're always saying that this is a very high risk plan, and there is going to be detriments. Someone has to be a sacrifice, and unfortunately, Keitaro, you are to be the sacrifice if it means saving Eiko, right? Because if this all falls through, it's GG for all of us. So with Keitaro closing his eyes, she's saying that I'm going to use Castle H to basically sever. So the plan is, she gives the robe of Castle H and Castle H is in the elephant plushie. So she summons Castle H, make Keitaro act as the decoy, give him the sash, and then while he's going to the grandma ghost with his eyes closed, he's going to bind her. And then once Yayoi summons Castle H now will sever and cut up grandma ghost, completely exercising and destroying her, and that way any of the dolls who still has a live and well human body, their souls can go back to their bodies, and that's it. As simple as that sounds, again, this is a high risk plan. If Keitaro ends up missing his mark, the plan will fall through. But Yayoi was also thinking along the lines is that, remember the Shikigami that they had when they went under the tunnel again, and one of those ghosts tried to attack, it was after dealing with Adam ghost, right? And then, no, not Adam, I'm forgetting which, it was after dealing with the red dress ghost and everything, and he has the Shikigami. Goki protected Keitaro when his life was in danger, when they went under that tunnel just a few chapters ago, like 3-4 chapters ago. He used one of the Shikigami there, and the Shikigami only respawn by Keitaro being in danger. Of course, we had where Abe no Seme and that mysterious dude who I likened to what's his name from Katekyo Hitman Reborn. He said there is certain conditions in order to summon the Shikigami, but Keitaro doesn't know what those conditions and procedures are. So the only way he can summon them is when his life is actually in peril and in danger. There's a threat on his life, and usually it's more so a threat on his soul. So that's the only time they can be summoned. Of course, I did remember Goki's paper, his Shikigami paper was cut in half. So I'm wondering, and you guys don't have to answer until then, but I am wondering if once the paper is cut and everything, does that mean he can no longer summon the Shikigami, or he can, that was just a physical method for summoning them, because they're now both attached, both Goki and Zeki or something like that. Zoki is attached to Keitaro's soul, but that's just something possibly I will have to read further chapters in order to understand that. But that's just a question that I have, a theoretical question. Doesn't need answering quite as of yet. So once his plan is commenced, and Keitaro's just like, you know what, he's holding the doll and he's holding Eiko and going through all the memories between him and Eiko. He's like, all right, we're going through with the plan. So now he goes and he's back at the location where the grandma's at, and he's basically using his spiritual aura senses, has his eyes closed, and he's sensing the grandma, and he's telling Eiko through the phone that she's a couple of meters away, right? So that's when he starts to run, and this is at the same time where Yayoi summons Castle H, and then she enacts saying that, like, oh, put out the plan, what's it called? She basically tells Castle H to enact her curse. So sever her entire body, is encompassing that entire area, basically capturing them in her domain. Okay, severed head. And so, but there's another thing that Yayoi did say in this chapter, which again, why is such a high risk plan that they're doing. So she's saying because of the potentiality that if Keitaro does fail, right, and because the curse of Castle H is to sever anything within its vicinity, what's ever trapped in her domain, anyone, even real life people, if it comes down that Keitaro does fail, and if the Shikigami are not, they don't come forward to save Keitaro, unfortunately, a lot of lives are going to be lost. Hence why when she said before there has to be a sacrifice, she wasn't only talking about Keitaro. She was talking about all the humans within the area who will be sacrificed in order to take out this grandma ghost. So Yayoi was taking high risk. And it's just like, okay, the only time I see something like this in manga is usually by a character that's much older. Particularly that of an adult. If they, for the greater good, they're taking major risks. And it's just like, it was actually possibly, this was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen of Yayoi in this series to date. That she was willing that if all else fails, and just to take out this one grandma ghost, she was going to take out a couple of humans as well. And that was there. Mind you, remember, Yayoi is only 9 years old. And she's thinking like this, bro. Like, that's... Imagine if Yayoi was, like, at least in her 20s. Understandable. But a child? Nah, that was actually the scariest part. I think this was the scariest thing overall in this entire series. Aside from the ghosts, aside from the horrendous things that they can do, the mindset that Yayoi has at such a young age. And I guess it's due to the fact that, one, she can see these creatures. She's able to see the supernatural. And then on top of that, what she had to go through, call it 2 years prior to the current storyline, losing her parents and then seeing her mother's soul being ripped away. And it's being used to impregnate a whole new spiritual cursed entity into the world that can cause mayhem and all that stuff. Like, yeah, her mind is kind of screwed. No matter how she tries to joke and all that, her mind is kind of screwed up, and she's only 9 years old. That's scary. That's terrifying. So, going back to it, Keitaro now is trying to run after Grandma. He's running after her, and every time he's trying to get closer, she's moving back. It's like, she's reading his movements, like, nah, I know what you're trying to do. You got that rope. I ain't gonna let you touch me. And she moved a certain way that when Keitaro thought he had her, she led him to the end of a cliff. And Keitaro was dropping. And of course, he's screaming. So then he managed to grip onto the edge of the cliff. And he's keeping his eyes closed because he realized that Grandma's coming close to him. And even though he closed his eyes, that was what Grandma, she read him. She read him. She realized, oh, I need you to see me. And you're running after me with your eyes closed. Okay, I got you, because you can't see what's in front of you because you're trying to chase after me. She went up close to him and then used her bony, with the claw hands, popped open his eyes. Done. Keitaro realized, oh, it's GG for me. Next thing he knows, the panel, just like how with Eiko, opens up where the eyes are opening. And Keitaro is trapped in the doll. He sees his soulless body on the ground, and then there's people surrounding him saying, hey, young man, what's going on? Are you okay? He can't respond because there's no soul in the body. And then he realized, yo, I failed. I got caught. And oh, damn. So this is where now Yayoi is realizing, oh, this is bad. Okay. Then she explains with Castle H what happens if they're not able, because they were, again, when they use the rope is attached to Castle H, and then the Castle H can enact her curse and sever Grandma. But this is where, again, I was saying, Yayoi was explaining that with a Castle H, if the Grandma isn't defeated, and then Castle H is trying to pinpoint who to attack without narrowing the attack, her curse affects the entire area. And because there's no substitutes, aka the Grandma with the rope tied around her, again, everybody dying. Keitaro included. Keitaro and Eiko and everybody included. I just used a Koryu Kenshin, okay? And so, because of that, and she's trying so hard not to have zero casualties, but because Keitaro got caught and everything, this is again where I say it was a very scary moment. Yayoi just literally turned dark. And she's like, okay, Keitaro got caught. And the Shikigami did not pull up. We go into the next plan. And thank God, we did not see what her next plan was. Because again, her eyes literally turned dark. And I'm like, Beware of a 9-year-old. They're terrifying. So Grandma Ghost is still mad because they took Eiko, the original doll, and so they're trying to look. So she's now about to sacrifice Keitaro. And Keitaro is scared out of his mind, and as he should, because he's realizing that, like, he's about to be burned. His soul is about to be burned, and he will die from there. So just before Grandma could, all you see in the panel is, it looked like a smiling face or something like that. It appeared behind Keitaro, because he's in a doll, so the baby doll would contain Keitaro's soul. And then the fire gets thrown back. Mind you, the entire place turns. It's literally like as if they made a curtain fall down, like in Bleach and Jujutsu Kaisen. The entire place turned dark. Okay. And then the same guy, mysterious guy with the glasses, he's like, what the heck is going on? It's a ghost dome. And then he's wondering, what did they do? And again, it goes back to, if Keitaro doesn't know what the actual procedures are in summoning the Shikigami, the only time they can be summoned is if there isn't a direct attack towards his soul. Then, just like with Genki, we have this huge panel showing now the other Shikigami by the name of Goki. And this one, Goki, I believe is Yang, because both of them are representing yin and yang. She's Yang. It's a female Shikigami, and she looks badass. Okay, if Genki had Zenki had the sight, or he had a sword, Goki has a crescent moon sight. Okay, she looks fabulous. So immediately, where Grandma tries to summon another baby doll, Goki stabs her from the chin under with her sight. And then it leads like I guess she froze Grandma's mouth. She froze it shut. And then Grandma now takes out, Grandma's always got to be snacks on hand. She takes out a bag filled of, I don't even know if they're like peas or something. And she starts shooting them at Goki. Now, it looks like Goki is deflecting the attacks, but they are hitting her. Okay? And then eventually, Grandma does manage to get close to her, because as Goki is trying to deflect these pebbles or peas away from Grandma, it was more as a distraction for Goki. Grandma gets close and punches her face into the ground. And this is exactly what she did to the long hair curse. And my man is being the spectator, and he's like, dang. Because remember, the Shikigami is attached to Keitaro's soul. So if the Shikigami receives damage, then Keitaro's souls receive damage, aka his physical body. But there was a freaking twist. This is where my girl Eiko, when I say she is a yandere in love. You thought all this time she was creating all of these Shikigami 3D print dolls for herself? No. When did this girl manage to get a piece of Keitaro's hair? The Shikigami received damage on her head, because her head got smashed in. And Keitaro's soul was about to receive the damage, and then it was going to receive the damage to his physical body. When did she manage to get a piece of Keitaro's hair and then put it into the 3D printer doll? And because, just like what she did with Anna all the way back with Aiko the Face Stealer, but butcher style, and then she put Anna in the same thing, she did it with Keitaro. We don't know when she did it, but she did it. And so now, Goki is okay. Keitaro is okay. And the mysterious man is bamboozled, because it's like, how did she receive no damage? She was able to come back instantly. So after that now, Grandma had to step back, and then you see that Goki's hat, but they say it's her eye starts to change. So her eye goes by the phases of the moon. So crescent, half, I'm guessing waxing moon or whatever. So her eye goes through different phases, indicating the type of curse she's about to place, or the the phase that she's going to use to attack you. So there's 3 stages. So the first one that looks like a crescent moon, right? That leads to, once it hits the target, it leads to forced blindness. So now grandma can't see. And it's called, the first stage is called the Curse of Night. Then, after the Curse of Night, which forces blindness, then she goes half moon. Her eye turns into a half moon. That's the second stage. Now, in this second stage, you're being cursed and then dragged down in water. While you're blind, you're also being suffocated in water. You're being drowned and dragged in water, in this water sphere. And this is called the Curse of Tides. That's the second stage. And now, after the second stage of her curse, now she has the upper half of the moon of her eye. This third stage is where you're being frozen in 170 degrees below average. And it's called the Curse of the Lunar Surface Temperature. And then she smashes you while you're frozen, severing you. And now grandma is just a piece of ice, screaming. Only her head remains. The last stage is called the Curse of Moon Madness. It allows you a fragment of yourself to still remain, but you're encompassed in absolute madness from there. And then we have where Castle H, she's noticing the presence, because remember, they're still in her domain. So, oh Jesus, this is quite literally Shibuya all over again, where they have the multiple cloaks over. Oh Jesus, because they had Castle H set her entire curtain, so no one could escape. Or if you could, make sure not to get caught up in her curse, right? And then we had Goki, who put down her curtain, her domain, trapping them all inside. And Castle A was still able to sense the presence of grandma being extinguished. Therefore, grandma is done. And they won. They were able to be saved by Goki. When I tell you Keitaro Shikigami is on another level, but it makes me wonder, why was he given these Shikigami? For what purposes? And again, now they have to, this leads to the question of what are the procedures to summon them, because this means that the paper version of them that was containing them is, for now, Goki is also severed. It's been cut in half. So I'm wondering if they now dwell in Keitaro's body permanently, in his soul. And can he summon them at will as long as he knows the procedure? Or does he constantly have to be in danger that leads to the endangerment of his soul that allows them to be summoned? But hopefully, instead of this mysterious man just checking out and being a spectator, I hope he can start, helping them, in particular Keitaro, and showing him what does he have to do in order to summon basically his guardian angels. But it also at the same time makes me wonder, is there a price for this on him? Is there a price for having these Shikigami to protect him? And what is that price? So Grandma Ghost is defeated. Eiko, Keitaro, and anybody else who's still living, their physical bodies are still living, they are saved. Okay? And there didn't have to be any sacrifices. So guys, you tell me in the comments below if you read this chapter already, or if this is your first time. How did you feel about this chapter? Now seeing the second Shikigami, as well as overall what Yayoi was about to do. How do you feel about seeing this other side of her, this much more darker side of her that was never really revealed too much? I think the last time we've seen it, but it wasn't too it wasn't as obvious as is in this chapter, but it was when they were in the school, and it was basically corpse party elementary version, elementary school version. You remember back in season 1 episode, it was between episodes 23 to 25. Yeah, we had the corpse party version, but it was dealing with elementary school students, and then with the girl who got her body was stolen. Do tell me, how do you feel about that, of seeing that side of Yayoi but more explored? The links are in the description box, so you guys go check it out. And I'm Kimmy-chan, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!